Tull could see that the Germans had broken through, so in retreat he led his frightened men, who realised the chances now were few of getting back to their own lines again. As shells and bullets screamed their mean intent, Walter's life seemed to flash before his eyes. A grand drama began in Folkestone, Kent, takes a final curtain here, and dies. As lines of bullets zipped above his head, he hoped and prayed that they would pass him by. But from amongst that deadly shower of lead, a shot struck him and passed out near his eye. As the thunder of the guns died in dark, he felt his mind begin to drift away, to a painful time which had left its mark, his father's death, a sad and tragic day. He saw his arms around his brother wound, in a cold wintry scene from long ago, as father's coffin slid beneath the ground. To Bethnal Green they knew they had to go. And then himself a boy at Bonner Road, dressed in the colours of their football team. His reddened eyes the signs of tears they showed, as Glasgow bound his brother left the scene. Once more he held Clapton's amateur cup. Their 6-goal win had been his final game. For the grand sum of £10 he'd signed up, for mighty Spurs in search of football fame. South America in 1909 helped him gain the respect of all at Spurs, prepared him to cross over the white line, to face up to every challenge that occurs. The first black player since Arthur Wharton, Tull's passing skills play such a crucial role. Some headlines praised, but some would report on his Spurs games using names like Darky Tull. When it all went wrong down at Bristol City, where the crowd screamed out their names of racial hate, he needed Spurs support, not their pity, but what they did was hard to contemplate. Instead of helping him when he was down, they'd made him leave and join a smaller club, a lower league side called Northampton Town. From Spurs this seemed like such an awful snub. It had felt like that first day at Bonner Road, but Boss Chapman had loved him like a son, and through his skill upon the pitch he showed that those thugs who'd abused him had not won. Rangers had just offered a bright future when he'd opted to play the greater game. War put football in a different picture. Playing on would have only offered shame. He'd signed up as a footy volunteer and joined the likes of Vivian Woodward. He'd wanted to prove that he had no fear of fighting as an English soldier should. The Somme he'd somehow managed to survive as his mates fell one after another. Shell-shocked and so lucky to be alive, he'd been sent to England to recover. He'd been a sergeant, one of the lads. When returned to France he'd found that they'd all gone. He felt just like an orphan once again, but still did his duty and soldiered on. What his orders told him broke every rule. Told to report to the Gales OTC. Back then the army's rule said in battle, black officers should surely never be. As the first black Briton to lead in war, he'd made history fighting in Italy. Why he'd won no medal he wasn't sure, as he'd once been listed for an MC. Now here he was in France about to die, returned back to the Somme to meet his fate. A pale gold ball above him in the sky, perhaps they played the game at heaven's gate. Just at the moment Tull, our hero, died. The sun's bright rays broke through the gloom to shine. As Private Billingham knelt down and cried, Walter crossed that white line one final time. In Memoriam. Now I am a soldier with no known grave. I was an orphan, footballer, soldier, the first black combat officer. Dear Eddie, do they still remember me? Walter, your name will live forevermore. Walter Tull lived at 51 Walton Road, Folkestone, just a short walk from North Board Elementary School. He reluctantly had to leave the school when his father died on December the 10th, 1897. The pupils of his former school, now known as Mundella Primary School, have made the artwork for this film as a tribute to not only a great Black Briton, but one of their own, a Folkestone lad through and through.